Dr. James Maxwell.
It's Czechoslovakia. It's like going into Wisconsin.
The People's Republic of Wisconsin.
It's a great brainwashing process which goes very slow, and it's divided in 4 basic stages. The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Why that many years? Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate one generation of students in the country of your enemy, exposed to the ideology of the enemy. In other words, Marxism-Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students without being challenged or counterbalanced by the basic values of Americanism, American patriotism.
Yuri Bezmenov, a KGB defector, on today's Sunday edition of the James Maxwell YouTube presentation. James Maxwell at James Von Maxwell. Now, if you haven't watched Yuri's videos, now keep in mind he was a defector, basically defected over to the West in around 1969, 1970. He first settled in Canada, and I think he eventually came to the United States because he got in some trouble with the Canadian government of, by the way, Pierre Trudeau, whose son is now the PM of Canada. Anyway, long story short, this guy sat down for an interview in 1984, 32 years ago, and he points out, and he tries to explain and make everybody understand that subversion, demoralization, this is how the KGB, back in the days of the Soviet Union, actually went into countries and tried to foment, disturbances, protests, and all this stuff, and convinced enough people eventually that the Soviet Union, the beautiful model of freedom and all this other happy horseshit, the model of paradise on earth is how Yuri puts it, the Soviet Union. It's so great, and there's freedom and equal rights and all this other crap, and there's always bread at the store, yada, yada, yada. And so I bring this up because it seems to me lately, when we're talking about feminism, Black Lives Matter, social justice warriors, where do these people come from? Where? I mean, Yuri goes on, and we'll hear that cut here coming up. Yuri goes on to say that facts, once a person is demoralized, facts mean nothing. You can present facts all day. You can give documentation. You can show pictures. In his case, he used the example of a gulag. Okay, back in his time in the 70s, there were intellectuals, he calls them half-baked intellectuals, the 60s hippies, that are basically now in charge of academia. He said they would not believe that there were gulags and concentration camps in Soviet Union unless he actually took them over there and showed them, okay, here is a gulag, here's a concentration camp, here's a picture, there's a pile of dead bodies. And they still wouldn't believe it. It's absolutely amazing. And it gets me to thinking, is that kind of what's been, well, I don't think it's kind of, I think it has been happening over the last, 30, 40, 50 years. Anyway, but back in the 60s, of course, you had students protesting for free speech. They didn't like the conservative values of these crusty old white guys in college. So they wanted to rebel. They wanted to have free speech and say what they want. Perfectly fine. It was good. But what do we have today, 50 years later? We have people like SJWs, feminists, etc., that want to stop you. They want to do exactly the opposite. They don't want dissenting opinion. Now, why is that? Why is it when you can give facts to a feminist, say the 73 cent on a dollar pay gap? Well, at least President Obama and Hillary Clinton and some of these other people, you can only piss down our legs so long and tell us it's raining before we're going, wait a minute, what's going on here? So you may notice that they don't call it a pay gap anymore. They don't say a woman is paid 73 cents on the dollar. They say a woman earns 73 cents on the dollar. So there's a slim nugget of truth in that. Of course, if you average all of the men's salaries and all the women's salaries, regardless of profession, yeah, it turns out to be 75 cents or something. But I mean, further studies have shown it has almost nothing to do with sexism. It's the choice of major. It's taking a job that's more convenient for your lifestyle. You want to travel a lot. You want to have time off with your kids or whatever. You know, women choose, and actually women are very smart in that way because, you know, a lot of men are like, I got to make money, bring home the bison and kill it and eat it and whatever. Now, some might say that's the patriarchy. See, men shouldn't have to. Well, men have to do that because there's not a welfare state set up for men. The welfare state is set up for women. So again, it's getting off on a tangent. But the point is, there are facts to back up the 73% and how it's figured out, how it's calculated, and you can go and you can look in various industries, engineering, you know, medicine, whatever. Men and women are being paid the same. Women sometimes are being paid more than men with the same level of experience. Because, you know, but I mean, this myth won't die. Regardless of the facts, you go around and you say, well, wait a minute, this is the way it's calculated. You hate women, war on women. Ah! You know, where did this come from? How did this happen? This certainly didn't happen overnight, right? It's probably started back in the 60s, probably actually 100 years ago with the Frankfurt School. You could go look that up. And so these commies got together and said, well, what the hell happened? I mean, Marxism, Leninism, it's great. What do we got to do? So the Frankfurt School got together and figured out a way to use subversion, demoralization, to break apart the family. And there's critical theory, Marcuse, some of these crazy people. So how did we get here? Is it some vast conspiracy, New World Order, want to take over the world? Because, I mean, look, you look at feminism, for example, or Black Lives Matter, or any of these things. The facts generally don't back up what they are complaining about. Now, I'm not talking about feminism like in the 70s, the Gloria Steinems, you know, some of the pioneers, the second wave generations coming through. You know, they had some real problems to solve, and they went out and protested. And God bless them, they fixed a lot of things that were unfair to women and to black people and to other minorities and whatever. But that was 40-some years ago, 45, 46, 48 years ago. This is not then. This is today, as Justin Trudeau likes. It's 2016. Thank you. It is. It's 2016. And now feminism, despite all the facts in their face about pay gap and rape culture and all of this other crap, they're still out there holding signs. Hey, rape culture, pay gap, and all this. You know, imagine if there was protesting today about the Vietnam War, that people said, we have to get out of Vietnam, no more war, blah, 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 blah. You would rightly call that person insane. We've been out of Vietnam for 40 years. What are you talking about? We need to get out of Vietnam. And you would look at that person as like, we better call, 911 here. This person needs some mental help. Yet, when feminists do the same exact thing, with facts right in their face, here's the fact on this, here's the fact on that, they do not believe, or they're not willing to believe, or have they been subverted and demoralized over the last several generations with all this women's studies crap? I mean, the Black Lives Matter, they have points. They really do. There are black men who are being shot for no reason. But the vast majority of the evidence and the facts show that these were not innocent people. Matter of fact, a lot of times they were armed. They're waving a gun at a cop. You don't have to get a college education to understand if a cop comes up to you and wants to get your driver's license and you're waving a gun at the guy, the cop, what do you think is going to happen? It's not going to be a good day for you. It's probably going to be your last day. Okay? So, I mean, this is common sense. And the facts support that the vast majority of the interactions where these poor, these men are killed. I mean, nobody wants anybody to die. I mean, that's not what cops get up in the morning to go out and do. Yeah, let's go kill some people. No, it's not it. But if you're waving a gun at a cop, like this woman just a couple of weeks ago, in a standoff at her house, holding her frigging baby, starts waving a shotgun at the cops and shooting that shotgun at what the hell do you think is going to happen? She's going to get shot, and she did, and she died. Unfortunately, in her case, she was mentally ill. I mean, there's lots of evidence. I mean, there's something wrong with this chick. And thank God her kid didn't get hurt. But what do you expect is going to happen? Black Lives Matter. If you wave a gun at a cop, it's not going to be good. So we have all of these facts to back up what's going on, whether it's Black Lives Matter, social justice warriors, feminism, whatever. And the facts are right in front of their face, and they still will not believe the facts.
As I mentioned before, exposure to true information does not matter anymore. A person who was demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing to him.
Facts do not matter to these people. Now, it's either they're choosing to not believe the facts, because if real facts about the wage gap and the rape culture and the people getting killed by cops, they've been programmed to think exactly the opposite. And frankly, in the case of feminism, if they believed reality, they would no longer have a movement. And they're already getting towards that, right? You look at the wage, they bitch about the wage gap and all this other crap. Now they're talking about manspreading, catcalling, microaggressions. I mean, for God's sake, they're scraping the bottom of the barrel to find something to hang their movement on. Because everything they want has already been solved and has been solved for decades. But you show them the facts and they still don't believe it. How did we get here? I think Bezmenov has a point. This is James Maxwell. Thanks for listening.